Okay, so this question is using a Spearman's rank. So we can see we've got the correlation there, and then we're having to find the R value for that correlation. So the first one is explaining why it's not appropriate to use a Pearson's and why instead we're using the Spearman's rank. And the reason for that is because it's not linear. So the Pearson's correlation has to be linear. This one is not linear, and therefore we're using Spearman's rank. And we can see here it's definitely not linear. It's got that curved shape. Then we're explaining why it is appropriate to use Spearman's rank, because sometimes we have data that can't use either, and that's because it is a monotonic, which means it's always decreasing or always increasing. So it might not be a linear straight line, but it is increasing non-stop in whichever way that might be, or decreasing in whatever way that might be. So in that case, it is allowed to be used. So you can just say it's always decreasing. And then for C, we need to calculate the Spearman's rank correlation. Now this is 6 marks, that's huge. So the first mark is to assign the ranks correctly for the 2 different categories. So personally, I'm going to start with the highest first. You can start with the smallest, it doesn't matter at all. So this is my first, second, third, and they just keep going in order. And you could do 1 to 7 the other direction, that is fine. And then doing the same the other side, this is the biggest one, the next biggest, the next biggest, and the next biggest. And then I have 2 values that are equal to one another. Okay, so that means that they are essentially ranked 5 and 6, and then this one would be 7. So instead of being 5 and 6, they both become 5.5. So there's a mark each for the ranking, and you should make sure they both end on the same number, so both ending on a 7, because there's 7 pieces of data. So we're then going to calculate Spearman's rank correlation. So to do this, we're going to bring up our GDC, and we're going to go into statistics and edit our data, and we're typing in here the ranked data. So it's what I've just ranked. So I'm just literally typing in those ranks that I've just created. So that's the first one, and then the second one. And then now that I've got that, I can go into statistics and calculations, and I want to do a linear regression, AX plus B. And it tells me there that my R value is minus 0.991. So it's a very strong correlation, but it's negative correlation. So when we're stating that conclusion, it's very strong. -1 would be perfect. So it's very, very strong, but it is also negative correlation. So yeah, very strong negative correlation.